Hello everyone, and welcome to this special live Q&A session for our fantastic group of MAGMA offer holders and incoming students in the 2026 intake. So everyone who is joining us today will hopefully be coming on to meet us and join us on the programme in Lisbon when the programme launches in September of this year. So I am Dr. Allan Madden. I am the Programme Director for Managing Art and Cultural Heritage in Global Markets, or MAGMA for short. And I am really delighted to be joined by a whole panel of colleagues and students who are here to answer any questions that you might have about joining the MAGMA programme this year. We have a short presentation prepared for you. We want to give as much time as possible, of course, to the questions that you have. Some of you may indeed have seen some of the information already that will be contained in this presentation. If you have received your MAGMA welcome pack, or if you've joined perhaps the visa information session. So I don't want to dwell too much on some of the information contained here. I would much rather get to your questions and also get to some comments and thoughts from our panel of distinguished MAGMA students. So we'll start maybe with just some very brief introductions, and then I will say a little bit about the nature of the programme. I'll hand over to my colleague Amy to say a little bit about some of the practicalities of the programme, and then we will take your questions, and I will direct the questions to the various members of the panel here. So don't feel as if you need to say too much, panel, but if we start with I guess we can start with you, Amy, and then we can work our way through our year two and then our year one students, just to introduce yourself and maybe just say one line as to what brought you to MAGMA. So I am Allan Madden. I'm a lecturer in history of art at the University of Glasgow, and I have the privilege of being the MAGMA programme director. And Amy, would you like to just introduce yourself to the group?
Thanks, Allan. Hi everyone, and congratulations on your offer to join MAGMA, first of all. So my name is Amy Hogg, and I'm the International Development Manager in the College of Arts and Humanities at Glasgow, but I'm also the Programme Manager to MAGMA.
Excellent, thank you, Amy. And for maybe if we start with our year two students, Leah, would you like to begin?
Yes, my name is Leah. I'm from Germany, and yeah, I'm a year two student. I'm finishing the master's right now. I'm writing my thesis. And what brought me to MAGMA is that I studied art history, and I wanted to continue my studies with the master that combines art and management and everything combined. Yeah, and also this international perspective altogether, and studying in different European cities. Yeah, that's why.
Excellent, thank you, Leah. And Tamiris.
Hi, my name is Tamiris. I'm from MAGMA as well. I'm from 2024 cohort. So what brought me to MAGMA was a desire to work in cultural heritage, as previously I had the background in business and economics. And I wanted to apply the knowledge that I had, but also in the field of management of cultural heritage, I guess.
That's excellent. Thank you very much, Tamiris. And thank you also for pointing out, Leah and Tamiris, what you have come to MAGMA from in terms of your academic background. So art history and business and economics. Amrita, if you'd like to just introduce yourself as well.
Hello, I'm Amrita and I'm from India. My academic background is in law, and I'm keen on being an art and cultural heritage lawyer. That being said, what brought me to MAGMA was that it was the perfect program to bridge the gap between the law and the market. So I wanted to learn more about art history, art markets, art world, everything. And that's why I joined MAGMA. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we will be hearing a lot more from everyone on the panel, because I know that everyone who's joining us today They'll want to hear from me, I'm sure, but they will be much more interested in hearing about the MAGMA experience from our students. And I'm really grateful. And something I'll just point out as well is that all of the students who are joining us today on the panel are also our fantastic MAGMA student representatives and class reps. And so they are once again stepping up and representing MAGMA for us, for which we are really grateful. So we will, of course, come on to your questions, which will be in the chat, and I will field those a little bit later after I've done a bit of an introduction to the programme. But just as we've heard from Leah, Amruta, Tamiris, Amy and I would really like it if people were willing and happy to introduce themselves in the comments, maybe say just, you know, your name and where you're joining us from, your home country or where you're living right now, and maybe a little bit actually about your background as well, just as we've heard from our students on the panel. That could be a really nice way to get the comments coming in as well. Okay, so what is MAGMA? Is a very big question. MAGMA is in many ways a very challenging, very complex program. It's also an incredibly rich and very rewarding program as well. MAGMA is managed by a consortium of higher education institutions in Europe to deliver this 2-year Erasmus Mundus joint master program. And the University of Glasgow, which I represent in the consortium, is the coordinating partner in the consortium, but we're also joined by the University of Lisbon and Escute University Institute of Lisbon, who come together to provide teaching in semester 1, in year 1 of the programme. In semester 2, you will progress on to Paris, to IESA Arts and Culture. In semester 3, you will continue your studies. So this is semester 3, the first semester of your second year on the programme at Erasmus University, Rotterdam. And if we just go on to the next slide. And in terms of what you will encounter from an academic perspective when coming to study on the MAGMA programme, we've heard actually a little bit already from some of our students as to what they've experienced, and I think that as you defined it, Amruta, was really great about MAGMA, about bridging the gap. And in many ways, MAGMA is seeking to forge connections and to bridge gaps, disciplinary gaps, that exist from those of you who might be joining from more of a history or art history background, those of you who have studied law or business or economics or management, and who want to combine your background with either exposure to art history, histories of collecting, histories of the art market, cultural heritage management, or whether you have this background and are seeking to hone your skills in terms of business knowledge, fundraising, and so on. So MAGMA is a proudly multidisciplinary program, which is designed to equip you with the knowledge and skills required for what is a very complex and very fast changing field in arts and cultural heritage. So, as I've pointed out, you will be studying across 2 years, 4 semesters, living in at least 3 different fantastic, interesting, vibrant European cities. And if we just go on to the next slide as well, please. And just to give you a very brief insight into the kinds of courses that you will be studying and the kind of things that you will encounter as you progress your way through the 2 years of the programme. When you join us, when you begin your studies, it will be in Lisbon, as I mentioned, at Escute University Institute of Lisbon and the University of Lisbon. And you will take courses like Art Markets, Structure and Dynamics, Cultural Entrepreneurship and Management Foundations. You will then progress into the second semester, where you will have core courses in art law and private collections to public museums. You will also, depending on your particular study track, whether you follow an art markets track or a cultural heritage of the future track, enroll on a project methodology course and take various core courses and optional courses to align with the tracks of study. And then if we progress, in semester 3, first semester of your second year, you will carry on to Erasmus University Rotterdam. And again, you will have the option of particular study tracks, whether that is a study track in cultural heritage or economics of cultural heritage or cultural tourism. And for your fourth semester, you will have the choice as to whether you wish to return to any of the previous 3-semester locations. So you may choose to return back to Lisbon or to Paris, or indeed to stay in Rotterdam, or the course that I, of course, would be biased in recommending, you might choose to come to Glasgow. Because all the while you've been based in Lisbon, Paris, and Rotterdam, you will also be able to take courses online delivered by myself and my colleagues at the University of Glasgow. So you may decide that your fourth semester you wish to have your thesis supervised by myself or one of my colleagues at Glasgow, or to base yourself in Glasgow as well. So there's a lot of scope for opportunity in terms of widening the horizons of cities to live in and cultures to immerse yourself in. As if that weren't enough, there are also optional seasonal schools, which are open to all students. I should say seasonal schools are dependent on numbers. Not every school which is advertised is able to run, unfortunately. But in previous years, we have had seasonal schools delivered by the Hunterian Museum and Art Gallery at the University of Glasgow, which delivered a school on the theme of contested collections, looking at legacies of colonial collecting and difficult issues around curation, conservation, and questions of restitution and repatriation. And the Smithsonian Museum Conservation Institute, which is also a school based at the University of Glasgow, both of which run in the summer of the first year. And this is very exciting in that this is the first year that the Smithsonian Museum Conservation Institute will be delivering a school on the topic of cultural property protection, heritage rescue, and disaster and risk management. So these are the 2 summer schools which you have the option of at the summer at the University of Glasgow in your first year. Or you might choose to attend the optional winter school, which is run by our key associate partner, Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, where you can take an intensive 2-week look at the specifics around museums, culture, and heritage of this incredibly dynamic city in India. So there will be a lot more information that will come to you from the point of the induction onto the program onwards about these seasonal schools and about how to sign up and get a place on the school of your choice. So if we just carry on to the next slide. And after this intensive and again, very challenging, but hopefully incredibly rewarding 2 years of study upon your graduation, and the graduation ceremony takes place at the University of Glasgow at the end of your second year. You will be awarded an International Master in Managing Art and Cultural Heritage in Global Markets from the University of Glasgow, a Master of Arts in Art Markets from ISCTE in association with the University of Lisbon, a professional certificate from IESA Arts and Culture, and a Master of Arts in Arts and Culture Studies with a specialization in cultural economics and entrepreneurship from Erasmus University Rotterdam. So this is really, this is the parchment or parchments that will be placed in your hand after what will be hopefully an incredibly enriching educational experience, and also an incredibly enriching life experience, having lived in these fantastic cities for the previous 2 years. Okay, so if we just move on to the next slide. I won't say too much to cover some of this material, because again, for those of you who continue on and come to Lisbon and enroll on the programme in September, you'll hear a little bit more from me on each of these areas. But I can say just very briefly that when you do leave us in 2 years' time and graduate from the MAGMA programme, we hope that you will have gained the skills, the knowledge, the experience necessary in order to be one of the future leaders in the arts and cultural heritage fields. These are incredibly dynamic, changing sectors. And we know, based on the materials that we've read from you already in your applications, that you are all an incredibly diverse, dynamic, interested group who want to make an impact, whether that is to return home to your home countries, or to branch out and to find your place anywhere in the world. We hope that MAGMA will give you the confidence on top of the knowledge, skills, and experience necessary to do so. Okay, so if we just maybe cycle through maybe to the next slide. And again, I'll just say very briefly what these future careers can look like. And this is something that we are still seeing ourselves. This is really exciting for us on the programme to see where our students go on to once they leave us. We have one graduating cohort, the students who joined us in 2023. And Leah and Tamiris, a little later this year, you will join this graduating cohort as MAGMA alumni. And it's been so exciting and so rewarding for us on the programme to see where students have gone, where they have gone to develop their careers. So you can see commercial galleries, museums, cultural heritage organizations and institutions, auction houses. You know, MAGMA is really designed to be as broad and as flexible a learning experience as possible for you all. Okay, if we cycle on to the next slide, I think this is where I can hand over, Amy, to you, maybe just to say a few things about some of the practicalities that those joining us might want to consider before we then stop and take questions.
Sure, thanks, Allan. So everyone here should have received by now your programme offer. So it's important you accept your offer, first of all. And those who have been awarded a scholarship for the September 26 intake, you'll also have received your confirmation of your scholarship letters. If you're joining us as a self-funded student, the important second step is that you pay your deposit as soon as possible as well to secure your place. For scholarship students, you do not have to pay a deposit. This part is waived as part of your scholarship. For visas, it's also important that you start looking into your visa requirements for semester one. So if you need a visa, if you're joining from outside the EU, definitely start looking into that as soon as possible. We would recommend that you leave at least 3 months to submit your application. As part of the welcome material that you'll receive from the MAGMA programme team, there is a visa FAQ document, which is really, really helpful. So that was developed with our colleagues in Ishkite, who are obviously very experienced with the semester one visa. And you can also obviously get in touch with us and the colleagues at Ishkite as well with specific questions about the visa process. But really the advice is to get on top of your visa as soon as possible and just reach out if you need some support with that. And we can probably move on to the next slide, please. Accommodation is another item that we would, as soon as you've paid your deposit, as soon as you've got your program, your place confirmed, we would encourage you to start looking at your accommodation options for semester 1. Now, this part, accommodation and visas, they are the most challenging kind of practical aspect of the program for all students, and we won't hide that fact. But we can confidently tell you that all of our students have arrived, all of our students were able to get their visas, all of our students were able to secure accommodation. One thing we would really encourage you to do is to speak with the students who are currently on the programme or have graduated the programme. Obviously, we've got our 3 student panellists today, so now is your opportunity to also ask them questions while we're here. But the way that you can engage with current students on the programme is through our UniBuddy platform, and I'm not quite sure if we've got a slide on that, but we do, fantastic. But there's certainly a lot of information about that in your welcome pack. But UniBuddy is an online platform where we have all of our current students and our offer holders, everyone who's joining us today. And that's where you can ask students questions like, how did they find accommodation? What was the best area? All the kind of questions you're keen to speak with someone who's already gone through the process. That is where you can do that. And if we can go back one, I'm not sure if there was one other thing on that slide. Insurance and banking. So again, this is important information that is also covered in both your student agreement and your welcome material that you should have already received. All MAGMA students, both scholarship and self-funded students, will receive travel insurance to the University of Glasgow. And that is for the duration of the full 2 years. So there is detailed instructions in the welcome pack of how you kind of track your movement throughout the 2-year programme in order to guarantee the insurance is following you. In terms of banking, we also have a lot of information about this in the welcome material, so I won't touch on that a lot, but it's important that you have a bank set up that can receive pounds. We can only pay, this is for scholarship students, we can only pay you in GBP. So generally having an online kind of international bank account, such as Revolut, Wise and Monzo, that has been the kind of best way that students have been able to receive their monthly scholarship stipend. And we can move forward now. And that's the end. So if you have any questions, please do start putting them in the chat. Alan, I think there's been some that have come in already, and it's really exciting to see where everyone is joining us from. If you look back at all of the comments, people joining us from all over the world.
Yeah, it's really fantastic, and thank you, Amy, for that information as well. And obviously, if we have some questions that are around some of the more practical sides, I can come back to you, Amy, on those as well. But yeah, I've been scrolling through and just seeing where people are joining us from on the program, and so it's really exciting. But yes, we've got some fantastic questions already. So I will hand over to some of our colleagues on the panel to answer those. And I think a really good one to start with is a really tough one for me to answer, but hopefully an easy one for you all to answer, is what is a typical week for a MAGMA student in semester 1? How much contact time should we expect? So I can say that on paper, in semester 1, when you're studying at Lisbon, you will be taking 4 separate courses in person in Lisbon, and you will also have your online course from the University of Glasgow, which is interdisciplinary research methods. But what does an average week for a MAGMA student look like? Would anyone like to, and you can maybe just, whoever wants to speak can maybe just sort of put up their hands, but would anyone like to come in to say that, particularly in semester 1, in terms of contact time, what does an average week look like for our MAGMA students? Would anyone like to come in on that? Is there such a thing as an average week? Leah?
Well, since for me it's been 3 semesters already since my Lisbon semester. I think the classes were around like 2 hours, I think, and then usually we would stay in Iste maybe study at the library, also at the University of Lisbon library. So I don't really know how many hours in total it was, but I can say that it was pretty. It was not too demanding, the workload in Lisbon, so it's you don't need to be afraid to start off with too much workload. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, no, that's you're right. Yes, so classes will be about 2 hours each, and you'll have 5 classes. Oh, yes, Amrita, would you like to come in?
Since I just finished my Lisbon semester, I would also like to add to Leah's point. Yes, the classes are 2 hours and 4 days a week. That being said, you are completely free to design your own schedule, and most of our schedules for each student looked vastly different. For example, I really like going to the libraries, and I do not go to the beaches at a lot of time, but there are very many students who love the beaches, and you can just enjoy the sun in Lisbon. It's a wonderful city. So it depends upon you how you design your week. It's not very demanding, but it is very academically fulfilling, I would say.
That's great. And Tamiris, you don't have to come in if you don't want to, but if you would like to, you can put up your hand as well. But I mean, there is a related question to this. Another one of our other questions that have come in is around living in Lisbon. I'm really looking forward to living in Lisbon. I've never been before. Do you have any tips for settling in as an international student? So again, Leah and Tamiris, you've done this a few times now, settling into a new city as an international student. Amrita, maybe more thinking about Lisbon and for Paris as well. What do you say are the key things, the top tips around settling into a new city as an international student? Who would like to come in on that one? Tamiris, yeah.
I think one of the most important things is to get the tax ID number, which basically allows you to get all of the rest of the benefits. If I'm not mistaken, if you're under 24, you can also apply for the transportation card, which is basically for free. While for others, it's about 50 euros or 30 euros, if I'm not mistaken. And the best way to get the tax number ID is to have at least one person speaking Portuguese and calling the service. This way you can avoid being in the queues, especially in the mornings, because the bureaucracy is high. So there were some students that had to wake up at 4 a.m. to stay in the queue line for several hours to get this number. So these are just like some small tips that would allow you to save your time, I guess.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, just little things that can help save you time and can get you some benefits that you might otherwise be unaware of. Oh yes, Tamiris, would you like to say more?
Also, if I'm not mistaken, if you get the tax ID number, you can visit most of the museums in the place that you actually registered as for free. So you will have plenty of things to do on the weekends as well.
Yeah, I'll maybe come back to you on that point, because there is another question as well about free time and things. But yes, would anyone else like to come in on this point about, as an international student settling into a new city, whether it's Lisbon or Paris or even Rotterdam? Amrita, yeah.
I believe truly keeping an open mind, along with the complexities, technical complexities added by the panelists, I would say keeping an open mind, learning a bit of that language, it always helps, and trying to integrate with the culture, that is what we're learning. So it would be really good, and also spend a lot of time with your colleagues on the program. That would also help you navigate the city better.
Yeah, we've seen this quite a lot, where the cohorts that join the program, are coming from all different corners of the world. They seem to kind of form up into these really kind of cohesive groups, which are really all about kind of supporting and helping one another and sharing knowledge and sharing experiences. So we do see our MAGMA cohort spending an awful lot of time together outside the classroom as well as inside it, which is really lovely for us to see, especially those of us at Glasgow who are oftentimes in contact with our MAGMA students online and from a distance. So we miss out slightly on joining in this great adventure of living in Lisbon and Paris and Rotterdam, but it's fantastic to see the camaraderie that exists in the cohorts as well. Now, there is a related question to this about free time. We've got a question here from Sarlotta, who says, during semester 1, but we might broaden this out to look at other semesters as well, are there holidays or study breaks? Also, when do students tend to decide where they will be spending semester 4? So if we take those in turn, in terms of any study breaks or holidays, and when did you decide as students where you wanted to be for your 4th semester? Would anyone like to come in on either of these 2 points? Leah?
If I remember correctly, in Lisbon, there was no fall break, but in Rotterdam there was. And then there was a Christmas holiday break. And then in Paris, I think we had a 1-week spring break in between. And then, of course, the summer break. And as per the second question, I think for me, at least, it was during the 3rd semester that I definitely decided where I wanted to go. And right now I'm in Lisbon, back in Lisbon. And I decided that mainly based on the city and not too much based on my thesis topic. Because for my thesis, I'm mainly researching online and conducting interviews online. So it did not really have to do, and my supervisor is in Paris. So it did not really have to do a lot with the city.
Yeah, no, that's great, and we'll come back to if Tamiris and Amruta want to come in to say a little more on that. But just to point out that your location for your 4th semester can very largely be determined by where you want to be. I'm supervising students who are just submitted their thesis, so an extra special thank you to Leah and Tamiris for joining us, because this is a very busy time for you both, who've submitted their thesis, who are living in Lisbon and who are being supervised at Glasgow. So there is quite a bit of flexibility, really, in terms of where you want to be for that 4th semester. And I don't know if Tamiris, Amruta, is there anything more that you would like to say about deciding on that 4th location? Did you join the program knowing exactly what you would like to do for your thesis and where you would like it to be, or did you join the program with quite an open mind as to where you would like to end up? Amruta?
So my case is that I joined the program with a very concrete mind. I wanted to do a thesis on art law, and I had my city fixed, which was Paris, because art law is being taught here. But now the program is so interesting that now I have opened my options and I am unable to decide. So I still don't have a city in mind where I would like to do my thesis. So such is the case, you could be completely transformed even if you come with concrete ideas.
That's so true, yes, because actually in terms of the applications as well, we often invite applicants to give us some indication or suggestion of where they might want to go. And some people come in with a very clear idea and they know exactly where they want to go and what they want to do. Others come in with a very open mind, but as you pointed out, Amruta, in your case, you came in thinking that you had a really clear idea of what you wanted to go, but actually the program has helped expand that a little bit as well. So that's fantastic. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that anyone wants to add on this question as well. But if not, I will make my way through to, oh, this is a good one. Oh, okay, yes. Will there be opportunities to organize exhibitions or to curate projects as part of the program? I'm interested in gaining practical experience alongside the degree and building a CV with relevant works. That's a question from someone out there. So yes, and I will actually maybe come on to the panel to answer this a little more fully. When you are at IESA and you select your study track, whether this is the art markets track or cultural heritage of the future, you will be sorted into a project methodology class and you will work on a project in groups within that study track. But this is a hypothetical project, and as a result of the submission of this hypothetical project, you can gain what's called the titre at level 6. However, you may choose, it's not a formal part of the program, however, you may choose to build upon this project experience, working on a hypothetical project, and work with colleagues at IESA Arts and Culture in your 4th semester and immediately after the submission of the thesis on titre level 7, which is a little more hands-on and developing an exhibitions or other sort of related project. But is there anything, I guess, maybe beyond this, or anything unofficial or informal that any of you have been involved in that you would like to talk about? Amrita, yes.
I believe there are plenty of opportunities if you are in contact with your professors. So, for example, our professor here, Laszlo Escovel, she teaches us emerging art markets, and she's organizing an exhibition with the Mexican Institute here in Paris. And there you have a chance to work with her. Similar is the case with many other professors in Paris as well as in Lisbon. We had a chance to volunteer in museums, something like that. So yes, there are many informal opportunities, and formally we can develop a project for Titre 7 in here in Paris.
Yeah, and I don't know if is there anything, Leah, Tamiris, this might not necessarily be as relevant to your experience, but is there anything that any of you would like to add to what Amrita has said? No? Sorry, Tamiris, yes.
I also wanted to add up and agree with Amrita. She is absolutely right. Professors are providing a lot of opportunities. As long as I remember, even in Portugal, there were opportunities given for us like volunteering. But more precisely, after the 3rd semester, when we were on the 4th semester, our professor and the director of IESA, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Turpin, provided us with the opportunities of internship, and she kindly allowed us to take this opportunity and participate in that as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. And yeah, we've got some other questions in here as well that are about developing, and actually let's maybe just go to this question, because I think it's quite related to the point that you're making there, Tamiris, about Professor Turpin's approach and the professional sessions, because we've got a question from Abaddon who says, any chance of learning soft skills such as networking, public speaking, etc. in classes, or are they more focused on theoretical aspects of cultural leadership? Well, of course, there is a mix, and different lecturers, different courses will take different approaches. But certainly in my course, in Cultures of Collecting, and I think across a range of courses on the program, there is an emphasis on developing your public speaking, maybe too much of an emphasis depending on how much you enjoy public speaking, but honing this is a really key skill that we know that you will need to take into the future. So this features quite a bit across the program. So you will have a lot of opportunities to work on presentations, to deliver to your fellow classmates. But maybe more broadly then, in terms of learning soft skills and networking and being exposed to different professionals in the field, I know from looking at the program what is available, but is there anything in particular that any of you, Leah, Tamiris, Amrita, is there anything in particular that you'd like to highlight around that idea of professional exposure, networking, soft skills, that type of thing? Amrita.
So I believe one of the aspects would be the visits. In Lisbon also, Professor Luis Afonso took us to a lot of museums, and he encouraged us to talk with the museum professionals. Here as well in Paris, we went to Art Paris, and we went to many other events where we had a chance to talk with other professionals, and that gave us a chance to further develop that network, because we can reach out to them for maybe volunteering, internship, etc. So that.
That's great. Yeah, it's and yeah, I was aware that there's Louise would often run these sort of visits and things as well. So yeah, is there anything, Leah, Tamiris, anything that you'd like to add to what Amrita has suggested? I'm not sure. No? Okay. Well, we've got a couple of questions that I hopefully can answer fairly quickly, because I'm conscious that we are slightly running out of time. So I want to answer as many as possible. Irene has a question: will the summer school tuition be included in the MAGMA scholarship? So yes, so summer schools are included as part of the program. Not every school, as I mentioned, is able to run in each year. So you might be allocated to a school dependent on availability, but yes, it is included as part of the program. And I think we've also got another question from Irene on knowing when you will have to choose the object of your final dissertation, and hence also choose the place where you'll be spending the last 6 months of the Masters. Well, hopefully, Irene, we've addressed that a little already in the point that you don't necessarily need to base your decision on where you will be located in that 4th semester dependent on your proposed thesis topic. You can, and if it works out that way, if you are very keen to take a topic, for instance, to be supervised by Professor Luis Afonso in Lisbon, and there's a really nice connection between his research specialism and your proposed topic, and you also want to be based in Lisbon, then that's fantastic. That's a really nice cohesion in terms of where you would want to be located. But for those of you who, and hope, many of you will be in the position of still deciding, even students on the program, as Amrita was saying earlier, are still deciding what the final topic of their thesis will be. This is something that you will work on specifically in the 3rd semester while you are at Erasmus University, Rotterdam. There is a whole class dedicated to developing your topic proposal across the time of your studies at Erasmus University. So there will be lots of opportunity for you to consider a topic, to have that topic honed, and also to then make a decision on where to be based in the 4th semester. Okay, so we've got another question from someone out there. Is it realistic to live solely on the scholarship, or do most students need to work alongside their studies? If so, is there generally enough time for a part-time job, or is the workload too demanding? So again, I can answer that from a program perspective, which is, this is a very intensive program. There are, Leah pointed out earlier that the workload isn't too high in semester 1. Of course, the workload will increase as you make your way through the program from Lisbon to Paris to Rotterdam, and with your Glasgow courses as well. But in your experience as students on the program, are you aware of many of your colleagues who received scholarships who felt the need to try to top up that scholarship payment by undertaking employment? Do you know of many people in your cohorts who are also working part-time? No? Oh, Tamiris.
As long as I know from my own experience, the scholarship amount is sufficient to cover all of your expenses. It again depends on you, how much you spend, what your interests are. But in general, there were students that wanted and actually participated in the internship, even at ESA when our workload was pretty intensive. I would say it's totally up to you, but you have to make some priorities, because this program is more about networking, and the people that you meet, they eventually are making your international network across the world. And if you are interested more in building the relationship in the long term, I would focus more on the studies and also on making connections with people and professors that are providing this for you.
Yeah, no, and thank you, Tamiris. I think that's a really good answer to that as well. I'm not sure if either Leah or Amrita wanted to add anything on top of what you were saying. Leah.
I would say because of the workload, especially in Lisbon and in Rotterdam, it's nearly impossible to have any side job. In Lisbon, maybe, but then maybe only if it's a remote job that you can easily do on your laptop. But working as a waitress is something that's it's a bit impossible.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite tough just in terms of engaging with the program as fully as you can, and the time available to you, and also the time that you want to spend even beyond this kind of formal learning and informal networking. Just grounding yourself and understanding the new city that you're living in can also take some time as well. So please also think about allowing yourself a little bit of time to be a tourist, and to learn a little bit about the city that you will be living in for that semester, if possible. Okay, so we have a nice question here, and I don't know if anyone will be able to answer this. Some of you might know. A little bit more of an informal question. I'm planning on taking my cat along with me to each city. Do you know of any precedent for this? I don't know of any precedent of students who were bringing their furry companions along with them. Is there anyone in across your cohorts that you can think of who has undertaken this? No, I can't think of anyone. Amy, so did you want to come in on that point?
I would just add on accommodation, that will be the one thing to think about ahead of time, is making sure that your accommodation that you're going to be staying in for each semester allows you to bring a pet. It would be great if they do, because I'm sure that would be lovely to have your cat with you. But would encourage you to look into that before you take your cat on the flight, or however you're going to get there.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, Amy, because as I think all of you will probably attest as well, finding accommodation in each of these cities is really tough. And so if you were to potentially be limiting your options, then that's something that you would really want to know and to think about in advance as well. Just while you were here, Amy, we did have a question that I wonder you might be able to answer, or if not, we can hopefully direct Molly to the right place. Molly McGrath writes, "Hi, I'm Molly. I'm joining from the UK. Are official insurance documents necessary for visa applications, or is an admission letter mentioning insurance cover sufficient?" Is that something that you'd be able to answer?
Yes, so the answer is it depends on your nationality and where you're applying for your visa. It's likely you will need both. So the letter that you've likely already received from Glasgow that states your confirmation of studies, but also has the part included about the insurance, confirming that you'll be insured for 2 years. But you may also need the official insurance documents, which will include an insurance cover note that is addressed to you and will outline the kind of terms and conditions of the insurance coverage. We know that second part has not gone out to the offer holders yet, but we are aiming to get that out to you ASAP. We are working with the insurance team just now because there has been some updates on this year's policy. So we just want to make sure that we have the most accurate and up-to-date information before we send that. But we are aware that some students need that for their visas. So we are working to get that out as soon as possible. But again, depending on your nationality, you may not need the second part, and you can use your confirmation of studies letter.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. And not to keep putting you on the spot, but there's another practical question here, which I think is really maybe helpful, from Salam, which says, "I will complete all my degree requirements before August 31st, but my university only issues graduation certificates in September. Would a completion letter from my university be sufficient for my conditional offer?" Do you know the answer to that one as well?
That is something I would want to check with our admissions team. So if you could email the MAGMa program today or tomorrow, we'll take that forward. I think the case will be yes, that we can accept the letter, the official letter from your university if you've completed all your requirements before then. But I would like to confirm that with our admissions team. So if you email us, we'll follow up.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Amy. And we've got a question now about, quick question for the current MAGMA students. Wise or Revolut Which one is better for receiving stipends and daily spending? I'm seeing smiling and laughing. So would anyone like to come in on this one? Does anyone have experience of either wise? Amrita, if we start with you.
So when I arrived in Lisbon and I wanted to do a Revolut card, it wasn't allowed until I get my tax card from the Portuguese officials. So I had to go to Wise. But when I arrived in Paris and I had to have a French IBN, then I had to get Revolut. So I shut down my Wise. And then got a Revolut. So it really depends upon the country and really depends upon a person, because for many students, they got their Revolut approved, whereas I did not in Lisbon itself. So.
And I'm wondering, sorry, Tamiris, would you like to come in? Yes.
Well, I have a completely different experience. I previously had the Revolut account from the Italian's residence permit. I previously studied in Italy, so it was pretty easy. I could send the money without any additional fee. But recently, I had to close my Revolut account, and that's why I was experiencing huge problems with the Wise account. And as long as I remember, it's also hard to register the Wise account for the financial team to get the funds there. I would advise Revolut, because for Wise now I'm having the commissions, which are pretty high. If I have an opportunity, I would just return back to the Revolut, but unfortunately right now I cannot do that.
So there will be, dependent on your situation and in different circumstances, there will be implications as to whether you go for Wise or Revolut. And Amy, I think I'm right in saying we include some information on this, do we, in some of the documentation that we send out?
Yeah, we have some recommendations in the welcome pack, which is based on previous students' experience as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's see now. We're nearly coming towards the end of our time, and I would like to end in a few minutes by just asking each of our current student panel to give one piece of advice or one little message. But before we come on to do that, we've got a couple of quite nice questions here. We've got a question that was submitted through Instagram. What are student highlights of the MAGMA experience so far? TEFAF looked amazing. So would anyone like to address that point about highlights and or TEFAF specifically? Leah.
Yeah, I would say TEFAF was a big highlight because there was just this immense load of artworks and different galleries and people to meet. We also went to the summit where they talked about different topics in the art world. And for me, the other highlight would be the Glasgow Summer School, which was also really interesting and with phenomenal people and speakers coming in every day. We learned a lot there.
Yeah, no, thank you. And actually, because that also answers another question which we had, which was about if any of you have already taken the summer school. Amrita, I know you'll be joining us in a few weeks' time, but Leah and Tamiris, you were both in Glasgow for the Hunterian School, I believe. And so yeah, that's very nice to hear. And yes, in terms of highlights or thoughts on TEFAF in particular, Tamiris, Amrita, anything that you'd like to add? No? Okay. Well, we can. I wonder if we've only got about 3 minutes left. So I wonder actually if this would be a nice time to turn over to each of the three of you before I wrap up, to maybe just if you could give one piece of advice or one piece of kind of inspiration for those who are joining us today, who will hopefully be joining us on the program in September. What would it be? Would anyone like to begin? And we can do it in order. Leah, we'll begin with you.
I would say try to get in touch with the other MAGMA people as soon as possible and create a group chat on Telegram, WhatsApp with different sub-group chats with like events, study tips, accommodation help, because these are the people that can help you the most. And you have this big network of people who have all these informations, and then you can share them among you. And also like the different cohorts before you can definitely also help. Like you can always reach out to me or other people. We also made this guide with practical information for each city that we can also share at some point.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes, we found that when students join us in Lisbon, they already know each other. They've already connected and joined up online. So that's a really fantastic piece of advice. Who would like to go next? Tamiris, do you have anything? We perhaps come to you and then finish up with Amrita. Anything that you'd like to add to Leah's suggestion?
Just enjoy the program. It will be like good 2 years.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Yeah, no, and it's, I think that's really good as well, because sometimes when you get so focused, as you know, it makes sense, you get so focused on each of the steps you have to take and planning and visas and accommodation, you can lose sight of just looking around you and enjoying the experience, enjoying your fellow students in the cohort. So thank you for that, Tamiris. And Amrita, anything that you'd like to finish up with?
Definitely, I completely concur with both the opinions, and I would just say the same, that keep an open mind, learn the languages. It's a part of your studies. Learn to, have a proactive collaboration with your cohort. That will really help you immensely. That's really it, and maybe have good relation and have a good time across 4 cities.
Yeah, no, and that's lovely, and I absolutely agree with and endorse all of those messages from each of you. And that point just that you finished up on, Amrita, about sort of collaborating with people in the cohort. MAGMA is all about collaboration. The whole program is born out of collaborations across universities, across Europe. But really, the collegiality, the collaborative spirit, the camaraderie that we see across students on the cohort is really what makes MAGMA special, I think. As someone who's able to look down and see how the program is actually unfolding for you all, it's a real joy to see how much you all get from it. So thank you for that, and thank you to everyone. Thank you, Amy, and thank you for my colleagues who've been fantastic in the background, running the presentation and posting questions. And thank you especially to our Year 1 and Year 2 students on the panel for giving, I think, the most important insights into what being a MAGMA student is all about. So thank you so much for all of you for joining us, and thank you for those of you who submitted questions. I'm very sorry that we didn't get an opportunity to get through all of the questions in the time that we have, but please do visit the MAGMA website or contact the MAGMA inbox at magma@glasgow.ac.uk if any questions have not been answered. I look forward to welcoming you all onto the programme in September, and congratulations again for receiving an offer to the programme, and please take the steps necessary now to confirm your place if you know that you definitely will be joining us in September. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you for the questions, and I look forward to meeting you all in September.